Hello, welcome everybody to the ministry. This is Taj McCameron, and today we're actually talking about kingdom marriage. And I'm just going to go off the top of my dome because I was just reading the book of Ruth, and I'm going to come from a different perspective and a perspective that I have not heard anyone, no one that I have ever listened to come from. Okay. I was sitting and I was reading the passage of scripture that spoke about Boaz. He was talking to Ruth and he said, for it has been showed, it was spelled Shewed, me everything that you have done for your mother-in-law and for your husband and your sister-in-law and so on and so forth. Did anybody ever notice that before? A lot of people have said it, a lot of people have read it, but a lot of people never addressed. The word is shewed, like shown. Or maybe I'm interpreting it wrong, but to me that sounds like somebody that, as we know, it is always said to us as females when it comes down to kingdom marriages, that the husband will be shown just as well as the wife what the Lord wants. If you go back into the book of Matthew, when Mary was being prepared to have Jesus, Joseph was put to sleep and he dreamt of the angel, and the angel showed him what he needed to see in order for him to agree to continue to go forth and marry Mary. So if you go back to the statement from Boaz, he stated that he'd been shewed or shown what Ruth had done, which also brings to a point of, remember, a lot have said that when Boaz saw Ruth, that the women and the noble women in the town were kind of trying to turn his head away from her. And his intrigue was to her and to her only. Why was that? Was it possible that it wasn't so much what he had heard everyone say about her? It was the fact that he'd been shown about her. Had he had a vision, a dream of her ahead of time to prepare him to fight in such a way for her? But yet he still seemed a bit shocked that she would choose a man such as him. To me, I think this is the ultimate, what is it, the word that I'm looking for? Depiction of what it looks like for you to have a God-ordained spouse and the man see ahead of time what it is in relation to you. But you don't know what he saw. She didn't know this. It wasn't even addressed in the scriptures that he knew. it was probably mostly assumed that he'd heard of her because everybody had heard that Naomi came back with a young woman. But did they know about her? What Boaz knew, did he know because the Lord showed him? Because if you notice, he didn't say, oh, I heard that you came back with your mother-in-law. He brought up details about Naomi, her husband, what happened with Orpah, her sister-in-law. I can't imagine that they were just talking about it. She hadn't been there that long. Now, maybe I missed something in reading the scripture because they don't really tell you what distance of time was between the point in time Naomi and Ruth got to Bethlehem and Ruth decided to go and glean in the field. Because the way that they write it, it seems like that was immediately. Like they got settled in where they were and she said, let me go glean in the field, like the next day. Now maybe they'd been there for a while. But yet again, it does not change the fact that he yet again said, shewed, like he was shown. A lot of us are in a season where we feel isolated as God ordained spouses because we have no communication with our God ordained spouse. But us having communication with the God ordained spouse and he having communication with the Lord is a completely different thing. God himself can show the man everything that he needs to see. For we have that depiction that is very well versed in the book of Matthew when it comes down to the story of Mary. Joseph was put to sleep. But nobody refers to that in the book of Ruth because it's glazed over. And if you want to dig a little bit deeper, I'm going to hold off on that for a second until I finish this point, that Boaz probably knew he was meant to redeem Ruth. If he was shown that much, was it not that he was prepared by the Lord to know that what he had to do? So even when Ruth came to him that night and proposed what she did, he already knew what he was going to do. He just had to wait for her to come to him and request it. Now, he could have gone ahead of her, but he needed to know that that's what she wanted. For she knew not anything about the kinsman redeemer until Naomi had brought it up to her, which also shows that the Lord had positioned that to be her blessing even before she left, because he honored the fact that she came with Naomi. He knew exactly who he was preparing to be her spouse. Boaz knew and honored her for what she did for her mother-in-law, meaning he knew of what she was doing with Naomi. He knew also of the situation with Orpah and the sister-in-law. He was aware of the fact that I do not know why I'm yawning so much, but he was aware of all these things that Ruth had did, which means her story preceded her even getting there, especially in his eyes, which means he knew ahead of time. I say all that to say the kingdom spouses that we sometimes find ourselves in doubt, in fear, in frustration, that we don't seem to understand why we're going through what we're going through. We don't know how much they know. We don't understand how much they understand. The women and the noblewomen could not turn his head away from Ruth because he already knew. The Lord had already shown him her. So the women that were trying to get his attention could not distract him because the Lord had already situated in such a way that he knew enough about her. Maybe he'd given him a dream. Maybe he'd given him a dream and confirmation through certain people in the town of certain pieces of information after they got there to confirm what he'd already seen. Our kingdom spouses probably already know about us, have dreamed about us, had visions about us in the past and the future in which they're going to carry with us. And they are aware. And in their ability to be aware of this information, people may come to them because of their status, of their positioning in wherever it is that each individual man is, that they will know. So it brings me to the next point, and I might bring up a little bit of Esther in this as well, that in one of the scriptures, it says that the way that they phrase it, they say that Boaz gave her purpose and she gleaned in his field. Now that's interesting that they use the word purpose. Now purpose probably means something in relation to food. But even if you look at it like that, Boaz opened for Ruth the ability for her to walk in her purpose. He fed a place in her that was missing, and he allowed her to maneuver in the field in which she was meant to walk in. Think of it like this. If you take that scripture like that, then our God-ordained spouses will give us the freedom to walk in our purpose and give us the guidance to glean in the fields that we have to walk in for the Lord. Because I say it all the time, our God ordained spouse is only a reflection of what God has desired in a human man. So if Boaz gave Ruth purpose, he is reflecting the fact that God had given her a God-given purpose, and he was there to assist in the manifestation by helping her, giving her the place, parameters, and the wisdom necessary to glean in the fields in which she was called to walk in. Okay? So think about that. So with that being said, I'm going to switch a little bit over to, let me see, am I done there with Ruth and Boaz? Because I believe that I am, because I referenced all the points in relation to those things. Because it's nothing about the whole Abimelech element that infers this part, because Boaz knew what he was going to do at that particular point in time. Once Ruth told him, it confirmed that he needed to be her redeemer. And I believe he already knew ahead of time that Abimelech was not going to take her at risk of his own inheritance. He was just waiting. And a lot of us, everybody, if you go back and you look at a lot of the ways that they depict Ruth and Boaz, they show Boaz as a young, not as young as her, but young enough, like he's a few years older than her, and you can tell that. But he's still young enough that it appears like he got time on his hands. But from my understanding, Boaz was old, and he was up in ages. That is why he said, you did not choose a young man. Now, I'm going to reference this because I literally heard a minister say this, but you can do research and confirm this, that Boaz was so old that when he married Ruth, he passed away the same night that they consummated their marriage. Now, we are not losing our husbands on the night that we get married. But I do believe there will be a death. Follow me. There is going to be a death of everything that that man knew prior to being with us. There is going to be a shift in his mindset, for it says in the word that, how do I phrase this? Because I want to get the scripture correct, because I'm seeing it in my mind, that that you give your life unto God, and it is a death. There is a death that will occur on the night that you marry your spouse, because there's a death of a mindset, a belief system. Because think about it like this: when Adam disobeyed God and God said, you will not live past, is it a 1,000 years, or you will not live to 1,000 years, which he didn't. He lived to 997. The day that he disobeyed God, part of him died. I believe the same will happen to our God ordained spouses. The part of them that was out there in the world, the part of them that was still connected to the world, the part of them that was still being fed by ideologies, knowledge, and understandings of the world will die. And upon consummating the marriage, I feel like they will have a brand new revelation of God on that night. They will find a different viewpoint. They will have a epiphany, what say you? And the Lord will speak to them in a different way upon the time in which they consummate the marriage with us. Some people will get new vision. Some people will get new dream. Some people will get new downloads of what the Lord is trying to say, show them, or experience. It will be a brand new thing for them. It will be as if their past self had died that night and they were reborn into something new. Okay? And which means everything up until that point of them will be destroyed. Their thought points, their viewpoints, their everything. They will see things from new eyes, new perspectives. It's the same way that when Joseph was put to sleep and he had the dream of the angel and the angel explained everything, when he awoke, he was a completely different person. His viewpoints were completely different. Was he the same Joseph? Yes, he physically was the same Joseph, but he viewed the world differently than what people would assume that he should have. Our spouses are going to view us and the world around them differently on the night that they consummate their marriage with us, because they will have an epiphany of knowledge, download, vision, what have you, of what the Lord is going to do with them, with us, in the marriage. Because I don't doubt that our God ordained spouses have had visions of us. I don't doubt that they've even had visions and dreams that showed them snippets of their future with us, whether it be with our children, whether it be with what they're going to do with us, whether it be family wise, whatever that vision be, whether it even be with where we are called to operate together, even in their fields or what have you. But it's going to be almost like I said, that eureka moment. They're going to completely surrender their whole previous version of self to become the new thing that God desires them to be in the marriage, as the old man dies and the new takes over. Now, what was I going to say about Esther? In Esther, I believe as well that Xerxes also was given a vision, and he knew that he needed to marry Esther. How is it that Xerxes, when he met her, that he was so fond of Esther? I think he had already previously also had a dream and or vision of Esther before he saw her. How is that? I'm going to tell you something that occurred to me that has nothing to do with the Bible, but something that actually happened to me. And it's happened to me more than once. Follow me. I remember when I was first starting college. This was my first day walking into the bookstore at my college campus. Never been there before. I was brand new, green as I don't know what. But I walked into the bookstore. I walked up to the counter to ask for the books in which I was getting for my courses. I don't even remember what classes I was taking at the time. But the person behind the desk said something very odd to me. "Weren't you just here?" I looked around and said, "What are you talking about? This is the first time I ever walked into the store. I swear I just saw somebody that looked exactly like you. They were here not even an hour ago." Oh, what? Yeah, that was my response. And I'm 100% telling you the truth. This has happened to me. That wasn't the first time it happened to me. Well, that was the first time it happened to me, but that wasn't the only time it happened to me. Fast forward to about, I'll say 6 years ago. I had applied for a position at this, what was it? Political headquarters in order to work for the electoral bureau, what have you, for elections, what have you. I arrived that morning. It was around about 10 o'clock. They did 2 rounds. They did a round at 7 a.m. and they did a round at 10. I went to the 10 o'clock round. This was the most annoying experience I'd ever had at all that day. But one of the people walked up to me. I just got there. Never been there before in my life. What's the first thing they say? I'll give you one guess. "Weren't you here earlier? I could have sworn I saw you here earlier, weren't you?" "No, this is my first time being here. What are you talking about?" I know I saw somebody that looked just like you. They were here about like 3 hours ago. This is my first time being here. What are you talking about? There was another situation that happened maybe about a year later. That morning, I had gotten some Sally Nail Salon nails that were imprinted with this leopard print that you see on this scarf. Yes, I love leopard print. So sue me. I don't care. And I said, let me do my nails today. So I got up that morning before anybody got up and I filed my nails. I put the decal of the leopard print on my fingertips and I went on about my day. Went, did what I was going to do, got ready, and then I went to the library. I'm walking to the front door of the library and a woman comes up to me and says to me, "Oh, hey,
Looks like you found the nail salon. Which was even creepier because I never went to the nail salon. She said, I told you about the nail salon across the... So you're saying that you saw somebody that looked exactly like me that was asking about getting their nails done, and I just so happened that same morning to do my nails myself. And I'm telling you, all three of these cases actually happened. I'll even throw a fourth one in there. There's a woman I used to know that I was roommates with in New York. She was an older woman. She used to always leave and go to work in another part of the city. She came back to me one afternoon and she said to me, Man, you would not believe this. There's a woman that works at the McDonald's near where I work at. She looks exactly like you. Her complexion is just a little bit lighter than yours, and her hair is bright red. These men have probably seen someone that looks just like us. I can almost guarantee it. Matter of factly, I keep having this vision that my God ordained spouse ran into somebody at a coffee shop or someplace that he was. And the woman that he ran into may have been more his age, may have been more his style of person, meaning they were already put together. They appeared to be or have all together in a way that he was attracted to. And he ran into this person and they had a short conversation. Wasn't very long. And this person was almost the epitome of what I'm going to be after everything is said and done. Meaning after the marriage, after I get myself together. It's not that I'm not together. I just have not changed my clothes. I'm still in the season that my garments have not changed. That once all things are in alignment, I'm going to look just like that person did the day that he met them. And it's almost going to be a deja vu the moment that I completely make my transformation. Because once I completely transform, it'll almost be like a deja vu moment for him. But I think the person that he saw and had that brief momentary conversation